Coach is one that don't keep a lot of folks in his circle. Kind of keep his circle, real close, tight knit. Because a lot of times when you have a lot of folks in your circle, things tend to get a little bit out of control, where some folks tend to want to create chaos and just have stuff going everywhere. And in this instance, this is what's happening to a lot of these athletes, I believe, especially when it comes to this transfer portal. Because I don't think people are really sitting down using rational thoughts when they say, hey, I want to get in. But when you get in, you got to have a plan to get out. And when you don't get out, are you willing to weather the storm? Or are you going to try to fight that storm? And I think in this instance, there's a lot of athletes out there that's fighting the storm. Now, guys, you know what? Coach has been holding back for a little while now because it's time we have a grown folk conversation right after. You know, it's your favorite coach back at it again. 10 toes down, about to tell you how it all went down. This is Tomorrow Leader Sports Network with your host, Coach Walker. If you're new to the channel, please like, share, subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you can get all upcoming videos. For all my leaders out there, welcome back. Y'all know the drill. Y'all know the routine. If you haven't done so already, please like, comment, share these videos, and tap in a friend or two and tell them to come on in. It's nothing but positive vibes. We're just having a good time talking about HBCU sports. And don't forget, you can follow us on all social media platforms. The links are listed down below in the description. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump over in this thing and get straight to it. Because I know you're like, Coach, what you got going on over there? Well, I'm putting it like this. I went and got my beard, lined up real tight and got the baldy real crisp and whatnot for me to go get out there this weekend in them streets and have me a good time. Yeah, I did say streets. I didn't say street. I said streets. Coach, having a good time right about now. But, I was sitting there, I was talking to my barber before I got in the chair. And my barber had made a comment. I was talking to my pops on the phone because, I talk to my mom and dad just about every day, checking on them, see how they doing. And the craziest thing was, he told my dad, he said, hey, Mr. Walker, I got to give you your props. You raised a good one there. And, I'm saying good one. I'm paraphrasing as far as saying good one. But what he said was, Mr. Walker, you raised a real one. And I'm just like, man, wow, where'd that come from? So, I'm sitting there, I'm scratching my head like, okay. And I'm like, hey, Pop, let me get off the phone so I can go ahead and get everything together. Because, we had a little conversation back and forth. And it really made my dad feel good to hear that from someone because this man has been knowing me for close to about 30 years now. But I'm going to tell you this, guys. If you are in need for a barber, a master barber, that is, that's going to have your facial, your beard lined up right. If you got the full, what they call the Fu Manchu, you're trying to get your full, get your full beard lined up and all that, get your, tight, crisp fade, get your bald hair, whatever have you. Y'all make sure y'all go check out my barber, Davon, at the Chosen One Salon. I'm going to put his QR code up here for you to go ahead and scan it, check it out, go ahead and follow him on social media, link up with him, to try and set you up an appointment or whatever have you so you can get over there and go check out his style. Check out what he can do with them clippers, because that man is like Edward Scissorhands with them bad boys. I'm just going to let you know that right now. I got to give him his flowers right quick because he's always been one that have seen me go through a lot of different things, a lot of ups, a lot of downs. He never interjected himself in to try to make it more about him. He, if I want to talk about some things, he sit back, give me that lane to express myself and say whatever it was that I need to say. And then, he'd give me a little piece of advice to move me back in the right direction if I was out of pocket with some things that, I might have popped off with here and there. And I got to salute him for that because there's not too many friends out there that's really going to do that for you. I do consider him a friend, that, like I said, and he's younger than me. So I'm just going to tell you that right now. This man here is definitely one of them ones that if you find somebody like that that's in your pocket, you want to keep them there and keep pressing forward, especially through this crazy thing that we call life. But, I'm glad to see that he sees growth within me as far as the direction and what it is that I'm looking to do as far as everything that I've been able to do since being here in the city of Atlanta. But with me saying all of that, I know there's a lot of athletes out there. And it leads me to this because there's a lot of athletes out there that have some phenomenal family members that have been trying to lead them in the right direction throughout their times or when they first started playing Little League football, basketball, baseball, whatever have you, whatever sport it is that they were playing. And they just trying to find a way. And now when, you get through all of the rough times, all of the rough patches, you think, okay, I got to this college or this university and we made it. We here now. We going to get to it. Everything's going to fall in our lap in the manner which we want to. And then it comes close to time for you to get out of school. And now you're starting to focus your mind on getting prepared to get in that NFL draft. And I know that draft left a lot of folks wondering, okay, how is my future going to look where I'm currently at right now playing collegiate football? And I'm going to be honest with you. When I sat there and I listened to Joey Porter talk to his son, I think it was Friday when he got drafted. He got drafted the second day by Pittsburgh. And he told him, he said, man, I've made you aware of everything that was going on. I prepared you for this moment in case something like this happened. And, you know, Joey Porter Jr. from Penn State, he was projected to go in the first round. And I think when he saw that Pittsburgh had moved up to get in the draft in the first round to get that pick, he thought he was going 17th. If I'm not mistaken, it's either 14th or 17th that he went in the draft. Well, that pick that they had went in the draft. And when he didn't go, it was crushing. And it was like, okay, maybe somebody else is going to pick him up along the way. It didn't happen. He ended up sitting until the second day. And just like many of us HBCU fans, we sat back and we were waiting for our guys to come off the board. And we started seeing athlete after athlete after athlete getting pulled off that board. And it was none of the athletes that we anticipated seeing getting drafted. And we sitting there trying to figure out what in the heck is going on. And then now you started seeing more and more athletes as that draft ended. They was hitting that transfer portal like it was the Domino Pizza man knocking on your door. So, hey, Domino Pizza here. You got that pizza ready to go ahead and give it to you. But I say all of that to say that this past year, we saw one FCS HBCU athlete chosen, and that was Isaiah Bolden, who went to the New England Patriots. Now, last year, yes, we saw a couple of athletes get drafted early on from FCS HBCU programs. And then we saw a lot of athletes going to the undrafted free agency where they ended up going on teams and they made those teams. And, you know, they did what they needed to do. And which this year, we saw a lot more athletes go into the undrafted free agency. They ended up becoming undrafted free agents, like, for instance, Emmanuel Wilson, who played for Fort Valley for the past 2 seasons. But guess what? That young man transferred from Johnson C. Smith University to Fort Valley. And he was already a dog when he came in there, but he was just a monster the past 2 seasons. I believe rushed for almost 1,400 yards in the season last year. I think I might be off. I think it might be 1,355, something like that. This young man was able to put on a show out there on the field when it came to scoring touchdowns. His average yards per carry, he went out there, showed up and showed out, letting everybody know, hey, listen, I am that guy. I am here to get in this bad boy and make a name for myself. And even though he was not drafted, he fully understands what the purpose is, what his why is. Why did he do this? Just like many of you out there, you're sitting back like, Coach, I get all of that, but it makes no sense that we do all of this work and try to get this, that, and the third, and we still don't get to where we're trying to get to. Guess what? Nothing is never given to you. It's never easy when you're trying to get to wherever it is that you got to go. You got to go through the storm. You got to go through the storm. If you don't go through the storm, then what are we talking about? Because guess what? You don't have no sweat equity there. Yeah, I get you were sweating out there on the field. You were sweating playing basketball, using the gym, shooting them free throws, shooting them shots. You're getting yourself together. You was out there on the mound pitching and hitting those balls off the tee, trying to make sure that you had your mechanics right when it came to you swinging that ball, swinging that bat like you're supposed to. So what I'm saying to you is that you got to go through the storm. And a lot of times when we go through storms, we don't understand why we're in this storm. And then what happens is we oftentimes find ourselves wanting to fight the storm. You can't fight the storm. I need somebody out there to tell me, please, who do you know has ever beat a storm? If you got that, leave that person in the comment. And before you leave their name in there, I need you to call them and tell them, Coach need the 6 digits for the daggone Powerball and this lotto here that's, what, $200-something million right now. I need all that right now because guess what? If that person there can look into a daggone globe and tell me the numbers that's going to come out in the lottery, we in business. But I'm going to digress from that. But I'm going to say this. I got 3 athletes that I want to talk about. That are definitely, you know, they jumped out there in the portal trying to get themselves together. We look at, you know, like I said, the draft is just a measuring stick. It is not a guarantee. You're going to hear me say that again. It's not a guarantee that once you go into that draft, you're going to get drafted. I mean, heck, we've seen the young ladies that's coming from HBCUs, better yet, these Power 5 schools being drafted into the WNBA, and they're getting cut. We talk about first-round draft picks. They're getting cut. So understand exactly what's going on here. But we got a couple of athletes here from 2 prominent programs that I want to talk about. And they will forever be joined at the hip because of one person. This one man is the reason why they will forever be joined at the hip, because this young man coached in both places. Some of you may know, some of you may not know. The 2 places that he coached at was Jackson State and FAMU. That's the reason why I picked this young man. I'm glad, you know, I'm glad to talk about this man because this man has definitely done a lot for both of these institutions. And I'm talking about none other than Coach Juby Bragg, who was the head coach over at Jackson State College from 1913 to 1919 and coached at FAMU from 1923 to 1925 and then coached again from 1930 to 1931. The first player that I'm talking about is none other than Mr. Kamari Stevens, who decided that he's going to take his talents and go back to FAMU to continue his collegiate football career, which I'm happy to see him do that. Because I'll be honest with you, looking at this young man's stats over the past 2 seasons, in 2021, Stevens played in 11 games. He had 3 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, and a half a sack. Now, 2022 was his coming out party. He's letting everybody know, hey, listen, I'm going to draw my line in the sand right now because I want y'all to understand who the heck I am out here on this field, and I'm coming out here to do damage. And guess what? It's only up from here. And this young man, when I say got off last season, this young man in 11 games had 20 tackles, 13 tackles for loss, 10 sacks, 1 interception, 1 pass breakup, 1 quarterback hurry, 1 fumble recovery, and 4 forced fumbles. Now, yes, did FAMU lose a few pieces on that defense? Yeah, Isaiah Land is gone. You got Bowler that's gone. I think you got a couple of other athletes that are no longer on the team as well. But looking at the scheme of things, this young man was looking at it from the standpoint like, okay, how am I going to be able to get out there and be just as productive this season as I was last season to continue to keep projecting higher so that when people come look at me, they're going to say, hey, we want that guy. Well, guess what, son? You didn't need to go anywhere. I'm glad whoever talked to you and got it through to you, say, hey, you're fine where you are. Because I'm going to say this, and I don't mean no disrespect to nobody's program. Let's be real here. FAU have not had a winning season since daggone Lane Kiffin left. New Mexico State, they ain't really hitting on nothing. They're not really hitting on anything either. Everybody's trying to build. So if they're trying to build, you already in a daggone in the FCS HBCU program, what does that tell you? That means they have a higher trajectory than what we're looking at with those other 2 programs. I'm just throwing that out there because I'm sick and tired of people talking about how these other programs are so much better than these HBCU programs. Listen, the only difference is you might have a few more cameras showing them out there on the field, but 9 times out of 10, a lot of those athletes that are getting drafted in the NFL to go to these teams, they behinds are getting booted before the daggone 53-man rosters even hit. Some of them, they ain't even getting halfway through summer camp. So getting through the preseason camp, So I'm just saying to you, just keep that in mind. It's all about your talent, your skill, your grit. What are you willing to do to get out there and get this thing going? That's what it's about. It's about you. It ain't about the hype. I know there's a lot of folks out there, man, shoot, we ain't gonna get all the looks like we used to because the hype ain't here no more. Guess what? You the hype. You are the hype. You bring it every week. You the one strapping up going to get it. Ain't no coach out there doing that for you. You doing it. You the one busting your behind out there, probably running them heels, doing everything that they ask for you to do. It's on you. So get out there, take the initiative to continue to keep busting your butt to do whatever it is you need to do to get to where you're trying to go. Like I said, weather the storm. The next young man I'm going to talk about is from over at Jackson State University, Malachi Wideman. Now, when I looked at this young man past 2 seasons, as far as what he was able to do out there on the field, this young man is a 2-sport athlete. He's balling in basketball, and he's playing football, the past couple of seasons over there at Jackson State. I think he transferred in from Tennessee, University of Tennessee. And first season coming out, 2021, this man had he had a coming out party for the masses. But we're going to start with last season. Last season, this young man played in 6 games. He had 3 receptions, 49 yards, and 1 touchdown. Now, season 2021, this young man, like I said, 11 games he played in, 34 receptions, 540 yards, 12 touchdowns. Now, I can understand the frustration that's on this young man, that this young man could have swirling around him right now, trying to figure out, okay, which way is up and down. Because when you look at the scheme of things, you're like, man, okay, if I was one of them dogs, why was I misplaced? So like I said, I know if possibly there's some other things that was going on with this young man that he needed to figure out for himself as far as making sure that he was out there to play in more games. Then again, like I said, there was a lot of talent that came into that program in which in some instances, I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that young man couldn't have been used. Hell, he definitely could have been used in that daggone Celebration Bowl to switch up some things a lot more heavier than what was going on. I said, salute to Jackson State as far as with them getting out there balling last season. They definitely had two hell of a runs over the past couple of seasons. And you can't doubt anything that they've been able to do and anything that they get ready to do in the near future. Because one thing I want everybody to understand is this. We get so caught up in saying that teams are going to go back to mediocrity because a coach is not there. They were winning before that coach got there. I'm going to say that again. They were already winning before the coach got there. They had a couple of lean years in which they didn't do much during them years, but they were winning championships prior to that man getting there. I'm just saying, if I'm not mistaken, I think they had 16 before he arrived. So we're going to leave it at that. Understand this young man's frustration as far as not being out there on the field more to compete, in which that's something that he's looking to do. And like I said, he too currently still is in the transfer portal, trying to find him a new home. And I'm just like, okay. And then it leads me to wondering, okay, what's the plan? What's the next move? Because right now things is quiet. They will definitely start to open up because you got summer camp coming up. But then you going in hoping that you're gonna get an opportunity to get out there on the field and play, because a lot of the athletes that you're gonna need to get in there and beat out, they've already been on the field. They was already out there doing the spring. So now, unless you got something that's gonna set you apart from everybody else, what are we talking about here? I mean, I'm hoping that, him and this next young man I'm gonna talk about, I'm hoping they can make a decision here. And I'm gonna tell you the decision that I think they might want to consider. I ain't gonna say they need to make it, but I'm just saying something that they might want to consider. The last young man we'll talk about is none other than Sy'veon Wilkerson. This young man transferred in from Delaware State. Like I said, last year, he didn't start for Jackson State, and the numbers that he put up was staggering. I mean, looking at what this young man was able to do for Jackson State through 13 games, this young man rushed the ball 227 times for 1,152 yards, averaging 5.1 yards per carry with 9 touchdowns. Now, while he was over at Delaware State, freshman year, this young man rushed the ball 220 times for 848 yards, 3.9 yards average per carry, and he had 8 touchdowns. Now, you look at how his increase was going from Delaware State to Jackson State. Yes, his average per carry was 5.1 from 3.9. That's what, a yard with a 1.2 yards more per carry. Not only that, but this young man did not start for the Jackson State Tigers last season. He was not the starting running back. So I'm looking at what this young man was able to do over the past couple of years. And I can understand his frustration as well, because, yeah, he jumped out there hoping that somebody's going to go ahead and pick him up, thinking it's going to be instant. Hey, y'all seen what I was able to do. I'm a dog over here. Y'all need to come get me. And that's what a lot of athletes are thinking when they jump into that portal, like, hey, I am a dog. Y'all need to come get me. People, I want everybody to understand. And again, I'm going to say this one more time. I got to preface this again. This is no knock on no athlete that I'm talking about right now, because you are the one that got to get out there and do whatever it is that you're choosing to do. If you're not willing to do it, then get what we're talking about. There's nothing really to talk about. But I'm saying all of this to say, when it's 4th and 20 and nothing is coming, and you look at the situation and you think that situation over there is better than where you are, what are you going to do? Now, me personally, if I was in these last two young men's shoes, this is what I would do. I would go ahead and get my degree. I would go ahead and ride out this wave. Ride the storm. And then once I ride the storm, say, okay, cool. If I need to go back and reevaluate something, then I'll go back and reevaluate the plan and bust a move at that time. But right now, you're losing time, because now you got to find a way to get on somebody's campus, to go over there, show up and show out, to let everybody know what you can do and how productive you're going to be. Because you got to understand, you're going to have to go in there and beat them out. You probably won't start getting your real run until middle of the season. If not, a couple games after that. So all I'm saying is that just be mindful of what's going on here. Like I said, I'm not trying to tell anybody what they need to do or how they should go. I'm just trying to get everybody to understand that I get everybody's looking at the next big bold thing, hoping and praying that that's going to put you in position for you to get your name called to get drafted. Remember, guys, I told you about the story with Joey Porter Jr., in which he fell in the draft. He was expected to go in the first round. As a matter of fact, he was predicted to go in the, he was projected to go in the first round. And it didn't happen. So I'm saying to you, this is a gamble. It's all a gamble, guys. And I get it. You're gambling on yourself. But sometimes you have to really sit down and really evaluate exactly what all is going on. And like I said, yeah, you might be looking for that Power 5 program, and they'll tell you any and everything they want to tell you to get you there. And then once you get there, guess what? Up in smoke. So, guys, all I'm saying is I just want everybody to just pay attention to everything that's going on. Just be mindful as far as what it is that you're looking to do. That's all Coach is asking for. But, I mean, you know, like I said, some of these offers that a lot of these athletes are getting, these offers are not putting you in a better situation than where you were. I'm just being real with you. And I'm not just talking about FAU and who is that? FAU, New Mexico State, hell, Nevada. I'm like, we ain't seen nobody come out of Nevada and God knows when. And if I'm wrong, please leave a comment below. But all I'm simply saying is that I sit and listen to a lot of folks in a lot of these different groups that they had these chats in, and they want to poo-poo on what HBCUs is doing. Look, we ain't gonna do that. Let's call it a buck. I'm like, heck, when you got a conference that don't even have a daggone TV deal, but want to talk about what's going on over here with some HBCU schools, you need to relax, okay? I need you to relax. But guys, all I want everybody to understand is this. Me being a mentor, a father, and a coach, I'd be daggone if I sat here and just let this keep spinning around in my head and not have this conversation for everybody to really just say, let me think about that for a minute. Like I said, everything that I do, it's not from a negative point. I want to see everyone succeed and move on to the next level and do great things. That's what this is all about. I want to see everybody get to that dream, get to that goal that they've set for themselves. But I want you to understand this. When you sit down and create your map as far as the direction that you're going to go to achieve the goals that you're looking to achieve, did you put any possibilities in there that you may have to pivot? Because if you didn't, you want to go back and reevaluate that right now to see exactly where you are and where you are as far as where you're trying to go. And if you're not where you feel you should be, there's a possibility you're fighting a storm and you may need to pivot. But guys, Coach going to go ahead and get up on out this thing. But until next time, be the one and lead.